Linda, how you doing today?
I'm doing fabulous. I'm inside where it's cool instead of outside where it's hot. How are
Yep,
you?
I'm the same. It's like 92, 93 outside right now, and we're coming into the heat of the day here in Florida. But we have an interesting topic today, and what to do when you overcommit. And in our community, if there is one person out there who has never overcommitted, would you please reach out to us? Just please reach out to us because
And
we
I'm
would
not
really
sure I'll
like to
believe
know.
them.
Yeah, how do you manage that? And so, because I think that we want to be. Most of us in our community here in the empowered living community, we are entrepreneurs, we're go-getters. We really want to change the world, and we want to change the world by being the best that we are, and that gets us in trouble. You know, I mean,
It did.
it just does. I look at. I'll take the Chamber of Commerce just because it's top of mind right now. So I could have. There's several committees they wanted me to be on. There's several things they wanted me to do. They wanted me to do this one, and for probably the first 2.5 years I was in the chamber, I kept saying yes. Well, what do? You always give a project that you have to get done and get it done right now to the busiest person you know, right? That's the thought process. And I had to learn no. And when it comes to discipline, we were talking about children earlier. When it comes to discipline, I know the word no. No means no means no. And
no is a complete sentence.
yeah, it is, and I wasn't using it. And so overcommitment, and we really would. We'd like to hear your put something in the comments. Let us know your thoughts so that we can maybe start a conversation. So have you been in an overcommitted situation lately?
Oh gosh, I'm in a constant state of overcommitment because for those of you that know DISC, I'm an S, and I don't like to let people down. And then once I make the commitment, I feel extremely guilty if I can't follow through.
Yeah.
And where that shows up is then the things I need to be doing for myself get put on the back burner because I have made this commitment to these people. Yep. And because I want to be true to my word.
Yes.
You know what happens when you work with people who commit and don't follow through, and I don't want to be that kind of person. So then when I overcommit, I'm like, oh gosh, I can't be that kind of person that says, oops, sorry. And depending on what the commitment was, I mean, if it's I'm helping someone at an event, I'm going to go because it's not just that person that I'm letting down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think when, for a lot of us, when we overcommit, it's in those areas, and then we just don't know how to admit that we shouldn't have committed.
Right.
And I even found that, now this is the dumbest, but this is how I think. When I was a photographer, I had a photo shoot. And the day before the photo shoot is when I had my aortic dissection.
Oh.
And when I was finally awake and they could tell me what was going on, the first thing I thought of was, I have a photo shoot tomorrow. and
that ain't happening.
And I reached out to another photographer and I said, I can't do this, and they have to have this done. They've got a magazine article due. I said, this is what we did. I said, I'll put you in touch with her. And so I sent the photographer, and I let the lady know. I said, I'm sorry, I have emergency surgery tomorrow. I cannot come, but I've sent another photographer. I said, you may have to walk them through what you want done, but they will be there. And when I woke up from my surgery, a couple of days later, I had a very upset email and voicemail from the client that she thought the photos were awful because,
Mm.
and so I ended up having to reimburse her. And in my mind, I was thinking all of this was my fault.
Oh yeah, and no, it wasn't.
And so obviously, I was lucky. I was lucky to survive that incident, and now I'm worried about whether that photo shoot was okay. I
Yep.
mean, when you look back at it,
Yeah.
I would never expect somebody to do that for a thing for me. You
No,
know,
no,
I
never
thought,
in a million years.
good heavens,
Yep.
no.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And
the
when we're
pressure we put on ourselves.
yeah, we put that pressure on ourselves because the type of people we are, and when we make a commitment, we honor it. We do everything we can to honor it. And it's funny when you mention the surgery, and I think that's when a lot of us. I know with me when I had my issues here recently on the cancer surgery and all that kind of stuff, I had a whole bunch of stuff that was lined up to do. I didn't cancel it, and I should have just said I can't be there. I remember there was a chamber event, not, I don't know, 3 days after my cancer surgery. And, I had a good recovery and everything else, but there are some biological things that happen with prostate surgery that there's no way you're normal, right?
Did you try to show up and do your commitment?
I did. And it was like, okay, this is not going to work. And, and then then we had another we had another event. We took our students ziplining. Okay, and I'll tell you what, I really wanted to zip line. I was what was I 8 days post op? Yeah, yeah, and I had some adults there. Now I obviously couldn't zip line, um, but I sat there in the heat for I don't know 4 hours while they zip line. I got some pictures, but they were going through the woods and going all over the place and stuff. In the end, I had a good time because they do what's called a leap of faith, and so
Right.
basically you climb a telephone pole and jump off, right?
Yep.
And it was really kind of funny to watch some of the people. My wife did it; she actually made it to the top and jumped off. I was so proud of her. But so I enjoyed myself, but I didn't. You know, the best thing could have been for me to probably would have been to stay home,
To rest in the
and
home. Yeah.
and everybody would have understood. And so we put that stuff on us. We put the guilt on ourselves. We put oh, this is my responsibility. And so what happens is we tend to we overcommit. We have all these projects that we want to get done. We have all these people that we want to help, and then we start feeling guilty. And then what happens? We get out of balance. We tend then to move into the juggling, the or out of harmony, I guess I should say.
Yeah.
We get into the balancing mode. We get into we're going to juggle, and pretty soon we've got two balls in the air, and anybody can juggle two balls, right? And then the third one comes in, and then somebody throws the fourth one right at your forehead, and now what do you do? And so.
I was dropping plates everywhere.
Yeah. I know that. I know the feeling. I know the feeling.
And it's not like the ball. I can't pick it up and do it again. They shatter,
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's
And then that put my whole. We're trying to juggle all these things when we let ourselves get out of balance and turn or out of harmony and turn to trying to balance. And it affects more than just those activities.
yes. Mm-hmm.
It affects everything. And what I found was I had overcommitted myself to how much time I was going to give some activities.
Mm-hmm.
And because I had given them a time frame, which was for farther down the road, in my head that meant I had to give that time frame now.
Mm-hmm.
And I could do nothing else, which obviously was not the case.
Right.
And and I've been struggling with this for years, and I find all these different ways to work in it, but old habits die hard, and this one is
Yes.
very ingrained in me.
Yes.
Putting everybody else ahead of me.
Yeah.
And that sounds very, well, M&S. That's what we do.
Mhm.
That's what a lot of women do.
Mhm.
And that's what a lot of parents and grandparents, I mean, we don't want to be selfish.
Right.
And my visibility coach, I love Doris Birch. She's just amazing.
Mhm. Mhm.
She told me that selfish is not a bad thing. There are times when you need to be selfish
Absolutely.
with your time and with your energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I preach self-care.
I was going to go there.
And when I look at sometimes where I find myself, it's like, Linda, what are you doing for self-care today?
Yep. Yep.
And I gave a presentation on Tuesday, and I asked the folks, I said, just write down a couple of things you do for self-care, little things, nothing big. And afterwards, one lady came to me and she said, I couldn't think of anything.
Ooh.
And I said, I think we need to talk. I
Yes,
mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not healthy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when we overcommit, we are doing a lot more than just overcommitting our time.
Right. Right.
We're taking away from everything else.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it puts us in the wrong vibration. It attracts the wrong energy. It's not healthy for us physically, emotionally, or mentally. It affects everything.
It does. That your point to the self-care and selfishness from time to time is very, very important. This is my time. I
Yes.
need my time, right? And it's very, very important. And y'all, if you're listening to this and you're struggling with this, and you need to be talking to somebody about that self-care, that self, there's just, when you learn how to take care of yourself, you become much more effective in what it is that you're doing. So Linda's information is going to be in the show notes. Reach out to her. Reach out to us if you have any questions about this stuff, but seriously, reach out to Linda and talk to her about that self-care. So then, since you got to the point where you were so overcommitted, what did you have to do?
I had to have a come to Jesus meeting with myself.
There you go.
And I'm a good listener,
Mhm.
except to myself. All right, y'all, how many? Come on, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, we know. We
You're gonna
know.
lay that one on me. I'm not the only one.
Right. Exactly.
But it got to the point where it just, nothing works.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I think it's with a lot of it, like a lot of other things. We have to kind of hit that breaking point before we do anything about it. We
Yeah.
keep shuffling things and moving things around and making excuses for, okay, it was just a bad day. And I just finally had to say, this is what I'm working on. I
Mhm.
need to do this. So I need this much time for me to do this. I can give this much time and that's perfect. Instead of thinking, well, I'm in front of my computer most of the day, so that means I can attend to this whenever something pops up over here. That's not me giving it my best.
Right.
That
Right.
activity. And that's breaking my mental connection with what I'm doing instead of just saying, I'm going to check on this. Now, if something
Yep.
comes through urgent, I can see that, but I don't have to attend to everything else until I can take the time to do that
Right.
and do that with full concentration, full effort, and putting my whole self into it because that's what I committed to and what it deserves and what I deserve to get out of it because it's something I do enjoy,
Right.
right?
Right. Mhm.
It's just I made it stressful for myself. Nobody else made it stressful. I
Mhm.
did. I did that to myself and I do that all the time. And I'm gonna bet a lot of us do that.
Yeah.
Not
And
just me.
that's what happens when we overcommit and we put that stress on us. And you made a really good point there. You're working on a project, you're working on something that you need to do. And both of us are in front of our computers a lot, and something pops up over here. and you let it pop up because you made a commitment. Whereas if you had not overcommitted, it wouldn't be popping up, and you'd be able to continue to focus. But there's a certain amount of um, things that we can do at one time. The multitask myth there. But what are we giving our full attention to? And if we committed, our commitment to ourselves is probably first and foremost. And because if we don't take care of ourselves, we don't take care of the work that we've committed to do, we don't take care of the family relationships that we've committed to.
Well, nothing else happens. Nothing else happens
nothing else
until
happens.
we have to put ourselves first in a lot of areas. We just have to.
And life becomes mundane. It becomes boring. It becomes stressful. And so many people out there, folks, if this is you, like I said, reach out to Linda, especially on the self-care side of it. But if you're finding yourself where you are overcommitted, you have to step back. And I know from time to time I do that, and I step back and I say, okay, I have this commitment here, this commitment there. And I actually had somebody, they say, well, I want to start doing this particular thing on Thursdays. Well, Thursdays is a day that I generally don't fill up. It's coming towards the end of the week. We have, I have things scheduled on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I would say it's not a day off, but it's a day that if I decide I'm going to go fishing, or if I decide, okay, I'm going to spend time with the grandkids or whatever, I will work it into a Thursday. Right. And so I seriously thought about it as something I want to do. I says, you know what? We need to pick another day. I can't do it on Thursdays, which for the first time in a long time, I didn't say no. I said, we need to. And here's the thing. If somebody says, well, I want to do this with you, and the best time for me is, and that doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean that it doesn't work. You just have to figure out the second best time,
Or you don't have to make that time work for you.
Right.
We're not, most of what we do for our business is not doctor's appointments and those kind of things. You can be flexible, but be flexible within your guidelines and not within someone else's.
Yeah.
And, there's lots of tools out there you can use to allow someone to schedule onto your calendar, and you control your calendar.
Absolutely.
Don't let someone else control your calendar. If you're in business for yourself, now if you work for somebody, that's different. That may be more difficult, but if you work for yourself,
you control the calendar.
You control your calendar. You set those boundaries, set those limitations, and that's sometimes really hard for us to do.
It's funny that you mentioned the calendar. When I first started coaching, and I do a lot of financial coaching, and I was through a very large organization, and they would send leads through, but my calendar was open 24/7. Not a smart thing to do. And so, because people think, so for example, you're in one time zone, I'm in another time zone. You think, 8:00 at night is good for you, and that time slot is open. What time is that for me? Because people don't look at, we don't think in time zones. So if you're in California and a coach you want to talk to has an opening at 8:00, you don't think about the fact that he's in the Eastern time zone or she's in the Eastern time zone. You just schedule it.
And, and the new calendar things let you schedule them in your time zone, which is great.
Yeah.
But they also should show the time zone of the person you're scheduling with.
Right.
I have gotten into the habit, especially because some of the things we've done over the years, I work internationally.
Yeah.
And I'm like, first thing is, what time is it there now? So I have an idea of the time zone.
Yes.
So I have an idea what we're looking at. I mean, if you're in the US or in North America and you are working with someone in New Zealand or Australia, for my time zone, that's an 18-hour difference.
Yeah.
You need to be conscious of that.
Right.
For both of you.
Yeah.
Right. And usually when you're working with people like that, you're far enough apart that you're going to the both of you are going to come to some kind of an arrangement where it's
Right,
not,
right,
you
right.
know, you're willing to compromise.
Yeah.
And, you know,
So, some of the things, folks, as we come to the end of our time here, when you overcommit, you got to take that step back. You got to take that step back. You have to have the honest conversation with the commitments that you made. And then you definitely have to prioritize them, or you're going to get so far out of harmony. You're going to sound like an orchestra that everybody is playing a different song. And that's called dissonance. And there's not a whole lot of beauty in that.
there's no beauty in it, and to be honest, it doesn't feel good.
No, not at
And
all.
all the stress it causes in your life is not. Now, again, you may not be able to do that with every activity,
Right, right.
but if right now you are completely out of harmony with overcommitments, pick one or two and try to
Yes,
figure out how you can reconfigure those.
yes, absolutely.
Start
And
small.
if you need help with that, reach out to us. Our
Okay.
links are in the show notes. And then seriously, if you're struggling with that and you need to go through the self-care, I'm telling you, you need to reach out and talk to Linda and get started on that journey of self-care. So we've enjoyed being with you, Linda. You got any last minute thoughts?
Just depending on where you are in the world, I hope your weather is agreeable
Yes.
and enjoy. And for us, just thanks for tuning in. We're always glad to be able to be of assistance. So,
Yep. So
Have a
thanks for
good
joining us. This has been Linda Wilson, Sam McEwen for Balancing Act, Living Life in Harmony. We'll see you next week.
all right, have a good one.